Welcome to Love and Relo, everybody. This is the voice of the relocation industry, and I'm your host, Ben Cross, and I am joined by my friend Mary Beth Nitz from Altair Global. She's the Vice President of Global Consulting Services, which means she's extremely smart. Hey, Mary Beth, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm really smart. You have me right there. I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good. No, you are though. Like I saw you at Lake Geneva. We were at the Wisconsin ERC CRC kind of joint thing they do in Lake Geneva every year, which is one of the best events of the year. It's kind of like that Indian summer kind of event where you just come in like in late September and it's still nice out and gorgeous, and it's like one last hurrah thing.
It was a gorgeous venue. You know, that was my first. I went to that. I don't know if you've been to that one before, I'm guessing.
A few times.
That was my first time attending. And the night before, everybody was asking me, so what are you doing tomorrow afternoon? And I said, well, I'm going to be attending the conference. And they said, no. Tomorrow afternoon, there's like golf and painting and cooking class. I'm like, didn't even look.
So
just assumed.
What did you end up doing? What was your activity?
I did the painting, and I think you were in that too.
Yes, I was in that.
Yes.
And I still have that painting by my bedside.
Yeah, so I'm a little embarrassed. I left mine on a plane and never got it back. But you know what? I sat next to Hosea. That's when I met Hosea.
I did. Next to Hosea. Oh, That's right. I remember he was in that painting class with me.
Yep.
I went outside. I talked to him. I'm looking out over the ski slope where there's no snow, but it was a beautiful ski slope. I'm sitting there, I'm perched up, like sitting there talking to him, and somebody smacks my ass, and I turn around, and I'm like, whoa. So that was my Me Too moment at Lake Geneva.
Did you complain to the authorities? Did you tell
we
the
were past
organizers?
this right now. And anyway.
You're just too good looking, Ben. They couldn't help themselves.
It happens, but I mean, it just, what are you gonna do? So that was but Lake Geneva was always a good time, and you put on you did a great presentation there.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean, it really was. It was really smart. It was well researched. I mean, it was a pretty in-depth look at things. Do you remember what you talked about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was our productivity study.
Tell people a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, it was our productivity study. So it's I'm so passionate about it. I've lived, eaten, and breathed it. I need to make sure I use the right tense there for the past almost 5 years. So the one I presented on in Lake Geneva was our third study, and it was surveying employees who moved with a lump sum only, and how they lost productivity, where in the process they lost productivity, and what does that mean for a company's relocation policy? What does that mean for a company's bottom line when you're just handing an employee cash?
Yeah. I want to hear more about that. I want to talk about lump sum. I want to talk about productivity. I want to talk about all the reasons why lump sum may not be the best employee experience, if that's how you feel, or you can tell me otherwise.
And it might be a controversial issue, but I'm happy to talk about it.
I love a little controversy. It means people are listening.
That's right.
Let's see here. Let's go through here real quick and say what's up to everybody checking in. Sandra Clary, happy Friday, all logging in from the D.C. area.
I see Hosea there.
Yeah. Kristen Eubanks, yay, MB, super smart.
She's biased. I worked with her for so long, and we know each other personally too. She actually threw me my very first baby shower.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So that's 3 years ago.
Mena
El Safari from Dubai.
From Dubai.
In. What's up, Mena? Lauren. Hello, Lauren. It's so good to see you again. I had Lauren on the show, and it was one of the best shows. Speaking of super smart.
I was just going to say the exact same words. Speaking of smart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Smart lady
Lauren,
right there.
We have to have you back on. She just added to her family as well. Gosh, we have 41 people. 42 people on LinkedIn. We got another 11 on Facebook.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody, if you're watching this right now, hit the heart on LinkedIn. Give a little love to Mary Beth. Hit that applause button. Kathy Connolly checking in.
This does a whole lot for your, self-esteem.
It's a good way to end the day. I'll tell you what. Like, I don't care what happens. Like the first 5 hours of the day, I hop on Love and Relo, and I get so much love. it's nice. It really
Wow,
is.
it is. It's fantastic. Kathy Connolly, one of my favorite people too. Another mentor.
Tim Rambo grew up right down the road from here.
Yeah.
Wild man. John Case, hello from Long Island.
Nice.
Molly Feldman. Friday
I'm supposed to be giving a shout out to my peeps in the UK.
Shout them out.
Probably enjoying a pint right now. I hope enjoying a pint. That might be the only way they're going to make it through me talking for an hour with you, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, in the early days of Love and Relo, the UK folks would come on, and this is pre-COVID, so they were all in the pub.
Yep.
You know, Anthony Walmsley, Simon Johns, these guys would come in and they'd start like saying the craziest stuff in the comments because they were like 3 in, you know, at that point. And they didn't give a damn. Like, I don't know any of these people. I'm never going to meet these people. This is what I think about it. And they would just, you know, yeah, it was fun. It was good times.
I'm loving me some Aaron Flores right now saying, go Auburn.
Oh, yeah? With little War Eagle? You a Auburn fan?
Oh, hey.
That's crazy. So my Monday guest was also a big Auburn fan.
Really?
I did not plan this. This is not Auburn Appreciation Week.
Yeah, well, it could be.
This isn't Bono's Relo. All right, let's see here. Sarah Cervantes, happy Friday from California, Dwellworks. Lynn Greenberg, happy Friday. Lynn at Pivot App in New York. What's up, Lynn?
Yay, Lynn.
Misty Taylor, happy Friday.
Friday.
Let's see. Good evening from London. Here's the Londoners. Oh, that might be one of your Londoners right there.
Well, if they're using MB, then I know them pretty well.
Okay. All right, so is that what we do when we call up? It's like, hey, is MB there?
Is MB there? Absolutely.
That way we don't get screened by the receptionist or something.
Right. Yeah. I think.
Simon Johns, happy Friday evening from the UK. See, he's one of them. He's a troublemaker. Katie Linehan. Yep, that's awesome. There's Hosea.
That was a great painting.
Stick with that. Yeah.
I don't know. Lisa Fontana told me that my trees looked like those things that turn around and clean your car in the drive-through car wash.
She God bless her heart. You know, I mean,
yeah. I'm still friends with her, but that hurt.
Well, you know, she said way worse things about me before, so that's fine. Love you, Lisa. Lynn Greenberg, big fan of Chad Sterling and the Altair team, so really looking forward to this and learning more about Mary Beth Nitz. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
That's cool. Let's see, Janet Schaefer, Mary Beth rocks.
Oh, I love my Altair peeps being on here. That's great.
Wow, you really bring them out. Lisa Ross, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Lisa? Janie Williamson, happy Friday. Ben and Mary Beth from AHI. Corporate Housing in Atlanta. Francine Drusty, hi from St. Louis. Francine, I gotta tell you, I got some cannolis today in the mail.
Is she the one that sent you the cannolis?
She sent me the first batch, but I got a second batch today from Laura Mihanagazian. Hiya, happy Friday. Laura sent me cannolis today. She sent me 24 mini cannolis. Yeah, she sent me the shells separate, cream separate. I have Kelsey downstairs. I said, Kelsey, I got to get on this call with Mary Beth.
Don't eat all my cannolis.
I said, hey, if you really want to go above and beyond today, you can slap those cannolis together, give everyone in the office one, and bring me one. She's like, I'm not bringing you a cannoli. I was like, hey, I get it, but I'm saying it'd be nice if you did.
We might have to make the next interview in person and have some of those.
There might be a cannoli break here.
Yeah, Doug cannoli chat.
Cannoli chat. Hello, it was great. Yeah, let's see here. Linda Nesper, look at this. We got 45 people on LinkedIn, 12 here on the
awesome.
Facebook.
Awesome. Hey, Faye.
Hey, Ben and Mary Beth. Miss you, Mary Beth. Look at this.
And Ben, of course. And Ben.
Yeah, I guess. I got to. That's great. Joshua Rose, Aaron Flores checking in. Rachel checking in. Laura Herring, thank you. Love to come back. Love to have you, Lauren.
Awesome.
Hope all is well with the fam. Corey checking in. Aaron, some more. Go Auburn. Yep. Gosh, we're going to get through all this, and then we're going to start talking some relo here and some lunchtime and some other stuff as well. Marcy Lane, Tammy Elliott Clower, Able Recovery. Your aunt and cousin are big Auburn friends. That's directed at me. That's my dad's.
Oh, okay. So we got some Auburn in the blood.
A little bit.
All
Beth,
right.
let's see. Hi, Mary Beth. Gosh, look at you. Aloha from the Big Island.
Wow.
Natasha
wouldn't mind
Clark.
being there right now.
Natasha Clark, yep. Tammy, greetings from Florida. Stacy, Look at this. All right. T-Town, Tulsa. Shout out to Dad. Francine, there's a story with the cannoli that connects us with Laura Miana Gazian and Lindy Chapman. Love the stories. Enjoy. Thank you so much, Dave Sharon. Awesome, wonderful. Everybody, give Mary Beth another little applause button. Hit that little, I'm gonna hit that little clap button there. Let everybody know. So let's go back to the first time we met, which was I think it might have been the first time we met. It might not have been. If it wasn't, I apologize. But the first time my first real impression was at Lake Geneva. You were giving this really cool presentation about productivity and lump sums and everything. Yep. And tell me what you found in that.
Well, probably not a surprise that, there were some interesting things. Of course, we found that people lost productivity when they moved with just a lump sum. But what was interesting was, I think a lot of companies that give just a lump sum are giving them to their early career transferees, new hires, younger. Obviously, very few are doing that for their executives. But so it's kind of interesting because a lot of the people that we surveyed, they honestly didn't even feel like they had been relocated, like formally relocated. It was kind of like, well, what do you mean I was relocated? I got a lump sum. Like my company didn't relocate me.
Did it feel more like a signing bonus or something? Or, something like compensation, not benefit. Right?
Exactly. Especially if they were just given the lump sum and not any guidance. Like if there was no, here's a consultant, you're getting just cash, but here's a consultant, they're going to help, point you in the right direction and refer you to vetted supplier partners and things like that. It was definitely, they didn't view it as, I had a formal relocation package.
So how did they rate their satisfaction with that benefit?
So, we asked, one of the questions we asked was, will you ask for more support the next time, if you move again or the next time you move? And the vast majority said yes. I thought it was really interesting. So we don't just do the survey. We do the survey. We ask some really great questions, around like, how much did you receive? And did you spend it all? Did you have any left? If you had to dig into your own pocket, what did you spend that money on? And then after we do the survey, we give everybody that responds to the survey the opportunity to opt in for a live telephone interview. And that's where you really get into it, right? So we find so much out looking at the data, but then you hear the comments from the people that responded to the survey. And it was just, with every survey I feel like that we've done, all three, but this one in particular, there was such a sense of, if only I'd known X before I did this. Right? If only I'd known how hard it was for my spouse partner to find a job. If only I'd known that if I picked my own household goods mover, I would get screwed.
Yeah. I mean, did you hear that though? Because that's something I've been dealing with a lot over the last few months, and people are coming to me and they're wanting to have these conversations about people getting screwed with their household goods moves and they go on the internet. I mean, were you hearing stories like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And since then.
Well, what do you think RMCs can do to mitigate, or what can we as an industry even do to educate people around that danger?
Well, I think, and I've said this for a couple years, the type of consultant that I was when I first started in the industry back in the mid 90s and did, I was a home sale consultant, did international, helped people expatriates move in internationally. I feel like the consultants, the people that are in our companies today that are talking to those relocating employees have to be so much more consultative. Really? To me, gone are the days of, here's your policy, I'm going to read you your benefits. It now has to be very much of especially as we see companies moving towards less of a structured program and more of that, here's your menu of benefits and you have X amount to spend on those benefits. We have to be consulting and guiding and advocating more.
Give me an example of how so.
So I think this is probably a perfect example. This was a few years ago. We had a new client come on board, and we were kind of operating under their old program. And their old program was, you get X amount of money to spend on everything for your move. So of course the employees were saying, if you're only giving me this much to spend, and you're telling me that my household goods are going to cost X, I'm going to go online and I'm going to find another mover that can do it for cheaper. Right. So I actually had to get on the phone with an employee. I think he was moving from Egypt to the US. And he sent me the quote that he got from the mover, I don't want to say like AAA movers because there probably is a really good AAA movers out there.
There
but
is.
you know
People
what I mean?
use that example sometimes. And I feel terrible. They're up in Minneapolis. They're not a bad company, but like, anyway, yeah.
It comes naturally. Yeah. So, so he sent me this. He sent me his quote, and I looked at it, and then I had spent some time with our move management people, and I kind of did a side by side with him, and I couldn't see his face, but I'm going to guess his eyes were wide and his jaw was on the table. Mm-hmm. Just looking at all the things that he missed.
Oh.
Right? All those things that I was able to say to him, these are the things that they're going to come to you afterward and tell you need to pay for.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, and actually, as I'm sitting here right now, I have one on my desk right now because we deal with this stuff all the time. This company called, I have literally with highlighter on it because I've had this conversation. I have this conversation probably once every 2 weeks with a client who's like on the fence because they have a cap or something. They have a 10,000 cap or 15,000 cap or 5,000 cap, God forbid, right? Yeah. And they're having to make tough decisions. Yeah. And they're like, well, I found a mover on the internet that has a 5-star rating that says they could do it for $1,000. So what now? And you're like, hey, man, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this is what I've seen in the past, but it's your money, it's your life. But how do you convince people? How do you make people understand that? I mean,
I personally, I feel the actual examples, those stories just resonate. I think you can talk anecdotally, or you can say, based on benchmarking, and it to me, it's the stories. It's let me just tell you what happened when somebody else did this, or let me tell you what an example of this might look like. Because you can't argue with this actually happened, right? Yeah. That's a personal story. This actually happened. I think that's really the key when I talk to clients. So if I'm talking to a client that's saying we just want to give a lump sum, it's probably a different conversation, and that's probably where I would go to the productivity and the duty of care. And I was over in Europe last year. I was in the UK chatting with someone, and he made such a great point. He said, "You've already decided you're going to move this person. The investment's already made. Mm-hmm. Why would you shortchange that investment? Why would you? I mean, you've already decided. You're moving them. Yeah.
Right. You're going to move them. You're already decided you're making a huge investment in this person, but that extra couple of $1,000s that you're going to save could ruin the entire transaction, the entire relationship.
Yep.
The entire employment brand outside your company and inside your company.
The entire experience that employee has, which isn't, it's not in a moment in time. It's not an experience. It's just you relocated and you had a bad experience and it's gone. That's going to stick.
I feel like my onboarding experience at university and my relocation with university probably colored the next 2 years of my employment here, because it was a very positive experience, and I felt very cared about, and I thought they thought of everything and they went above and beyond and all this kind of stuff. And I carried that with me, and I told that story to so many people, when I described the culture and other things like that. And so I think you're spot on. What were some of the other takeaways from this lump sum study? Because I think that lump sum moving and the movement away from managed relocation is one of the most pressing issues in our industry today.
I would agree.
That's why I want to dwell on it. So what were some of the other takeaways?
I would agree. Well, I'll say one positive takeaway was, of course, we asked all the questions around demographics. Who did you move with? Did you move with kids? Did you move with a spouse or partner? And what was your lump sum? And how far did you move? And did you own a home or did you rent a home? And we of course looked at the data to say, okay, is there at least a trend? Are companies at least paying attention to giving someone who has a larger family and owns a home and is potentially moving a much farther distance? Are they getting a little bit more? And that was a trend that we saw. So that was good news, because even for those clients that say we're going to do a lump sum, then of course the question is, how do we calculate it? And there has to be some logic, because these employees are going to talk and they're going to say, well, why did you get that and I got that? And you have to have some sort of logic behind why someone might get more than another. And so one of the takeaways was companies are, to an extent, from what we could see, taking all of those things into account. So that was a positive outcome.
And then how is that lump sum administered? Because this is something I've seen over and over and over again, because we we get these lump sum customers
Yep.
in our inbox that are as leads on the internet, right? People that are moving, right? And we get them to come in, and we see issues with cash flow and how, like, they don't have the money yet. They're going to get the money. It's going to be reimbursed. It's going to be the first day. Like, how are they administering these?
Well, and I think it's such a dichotomy to me, because we get a lot of questions from clients around repay agreements and how soon should we pay out that money. And I think that's another one of the pitfalls of a lump sum is you don't want to give them the services, but you want to give them cash, but you also don't want to give, the company's like, we're not going to pay you that money 60 days out. Because what if you take the money and then you don't come, and then we have to go through that whole process? So that just makes it that. So then you're in a situation where that employee is out of pocket, and especially if you're talking about someone who's very early in their career, they likely do not have the cash flow to cover that stuff.
Yeah, or even if you don't even necessarily have to be. You could have a $50,000 lump sum that's going to cover your home sale, that's going to cover all sorts of stuff. And how many people have 50 grand just sitting in the bank that they're not doing anything with, right?
Exactly.
So then people are maxing out credit cards and then all sorts of stuff like that.
Yep.
And this is a very real issue that I think a lot of people, when I was at the SHRM conference and I was talking to HR generalists and people in comp and ben, total rewards, whatever, maybe they do 5 relocations, 10, 15, 20, they say, oh, we don't really relocate people, then they relocate a dozen people a year, whatever, and they don't have a policy around it, You're
relocating people.
You're relocating people, right?
Yep.
And by the way, if you had a policy, you'd probably relocate a lot more, and you'd probably be able to recruit a lot better talent, and by the way, your company would probably be doing a lot better. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, there's a real disconnect in, like, how do you pay an employee a lump sum when they are not yet an employee? They're not in payroll. How do I issue a check to someone for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 when they don't actually work for me yet?
Well, and that's where the RMC comes in, obviously, because we do have the ability to do that. Most RMCs would say, oh, well, we can pay them that lump sum before they're an employee. We don't necessarily need an employee ID or anything like that. So that, that, I guess that solves that problem. But to your point, again, most companies don't want to pay it too far out and then risk. But which also gets me, because it's like, you've already hired the person, they're coming, but you don't trust them.
Yeah.
I don't,
no trust early on.
But then, I've also had conversation with clients that I say, if you have an employee that the first thing they ask about is the repay terms, you might want to rethink that.
It's a red flag, exactly.
That's a little bit of a red flag.
That's like getting a gift receipt with your wedding ring, It's like you don't want to be doing that, It's just a bad look,
Where did you get this?
Yeah,
is it returnable? Yeah.
Store credit and
It's absolutely true. Yeah.
So we got people commenting over here. This is great stuff here. Let's see what the folks say here. And you're gonna have to help me out. The David Portnoy of cannoli. I don't know, but David Portnoy, he sounds like he has a lot of cannoli, and I dig it.
Maybe you should be your next guest.
Shout out to Eddie Marks. I have a feeling they're famous. I don't know. Shout out from Saudi Arabia. That's cool.
Wow.
Maybe at first. Stephen Gray. Hey, Mary Beth. Greetings from Armstrong, Toronto.
Stephen.
Great to see you, Ben.
One of my CERC friends.
Oh, nice. Ryan Witroba. Happy Friday, Ben and Mary Beth from upstate New York. Go Albany. Jamie Master. Hi, Ben and Mary Beth. Cheers from rainy Mississippi. Curveball. You can lead a horse to water.
Yeah. You can lead a horse to water. Yep.
That's it. But you can't make them manage their relocation policy. Joshua Rose. The bitterness of low quality is remembered long after the sweetness of low prices forgotten.
Yeah.
That's true. It's funny, but when we tell to your point, when we tell our clients this, though, sometimes it just sounds like sales talk. It just sounds like, well, of course you'd say that. You're a relocation company. You're a moving company. Of course you say, I'm not going to trust you. It's like, or you could look at us like the person that knows more about this than you ever will, and you get the advice.
Right. You could look at us as the people that do this every day and have a wealth of knowledge and experience. Yeah. So, but I say that to every client that we have. At the end of the day, it's your policy. Yeah. And I'm going to give you all the counsel and advice I can. At the end of the day, it's yours. So
Mary Roberts has a good question here. What do you think about cash out options? And by the way, if you have questions about lump sums, comments, or whatever, leave them down here. And I'd love actually to ask Mary Beth.
Yes, because I'm probably speaking with clients daily on this particular topic. I see a lot of companies moving towards cash out options for certain benefits. And I think it's a good it's a good balance because, we work with a lot of companies that are moving a lot of young employees, and they don't have a household full of household goods that they want to ship. They don't have 3 kids. They don't have a ton of beds. And some of them are kind of like, I don't need to bring my furniture with me. I'll just buy new stuff when I get there. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't provide a household goods benefit, because on the flip side, you're going to have just as many people who do need that. So that's one area where I do kind of like a cash out option. But I think it has to be structured very carefully. So if you're going to cash this out, here's what it's intended for. And some companies will say, if you're going to cash it out, great, here's your cash. Don't submit any expenses for this benefit. And others that will say, the intent of this cash out is you buy yourself stuff when you get there. It's almost like cash it out, but don't take the cash and then move your stuff on your own, because you're still going to fall into the same, have the same pitfalls and the same challenges that you might if you got a lump sum.
And it's taxable as income, I'm assuming?
Taxable anyway. So yeah. And some companies will say if you're cashing out a particular benefit, they will gross that up. Some will say if you're going to take the cash out, you're going to pay tax on it. So that's kind of we really would prefer that you take the benefit, but we also understand that you may not need it. Maybe you'd rather have the cash out, but we're going to take tax out of that, where we would have grossed up.
I think that's a nice middle ground though, right? It's like, well, if you take the benefit as it's intended, we will gross it up to keep you whole for accepting this benefit that we believe you need. But if you cash it out, then you cash it out. Yeah. Yeah. So,
and it's that balance between, again, duty of care, but also the employee experience, and giving, allowing that employee to have some flexibility and being adaptable and malleable to that employee's unique needs.
So you mentioned duty of care twice, and I think this is so interesting because I got a question for you. Does duty of care apply on domestic relocations?
I think so, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree. Of course, I'm biased, right? But I would agree because, I look at people that rent U-Haul trucks, and there's issues like trailer sway, which can flip a truck. There's issues with breakdowns. My dad tried to load an amplifier. I hope he's still watching. I watched him do this in Philadelphia. Tried to put a guitar amplifier on the top tier of a truck, and it fell off and cracked him in the head. He wasn't too bright to begin with, but that didn't help. I'll tell you that.
Knocked whatever sense he had out of him.
Yeah, do you want him showing up Monday with a concussion? Is there a duty of care? Does it apply to moving? In your opinion, and I don't know, I don't think you're a lawyer, but in your opinion, does duty of care apply during the moving process? Are people on the clock, so to speak, when they're moving for themselves? How does this work? What are your thoughts on this?
I think so, absolutely. And I don't see a lot of policies that specifically call out. There are some. I don't see a lot of policies that specifically call out, we're going to give you X number of days off for the relocation. It's expected that you're part of the company now, you're working, and while you're that employee, you're moving. So I 100% think there's a duty of care, and it's not just to the employee, it's to the employee's family. Because again, back to that whole, you've already decided you're moving this person, you've already decided to invest. Take care of that. Take care of all of those needs. It's not just the logistical. It's those basic needs. It's making people feel, especially now, making employees feel safe. Making sure that all of their needs are taken care of.
Love it.
And quite honestly, a lot of those, duty of care benefits, especially when we're talking domestically, they aren't ridiculously expensive, and they're often those benefits that are going to give you the biggest return.
Love it. Couldn't agree more. Jennifer Anderson shouting out Kelly Gurin, happiest Friday to you both. And
hey,
Phoenix.
Kelly.
Love Kelly's always checking in there. Nitzen, you down from Geneva. Ben, you're 100% right. That's why companies are switching to using pay later, a repayable cash advance. So no risk for the corporate and no interest to the employees. Are you seeing this? I've not heard of this at all. I
have not. That is a new one to me. Pay later.
Yeah, I think Nitzen's in the UK, if I'm correct. I believe.
Interesting.
I believe he's the CEO of Geneva. So Nitzen, you might give us some more information about that.
Yeah.
That hasn't made the transatlantic voyage yet. Lynn Greenberg, I was given a lump sum when relocating to London as a 22-year-old and decided to live in Notting Hill solely based on the fact that I'd seen the movie and that's all I knew.
I'm not laughing at you, Lynn. I'm laughing near you.
Was Hugh Grant there, or who was living there? I don't even know.
It was Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts in that movie.
Hey, I'd move there.
I don't think that's a cheap place to live. But I'm laughing because I guarantee you that she's not the only one that did that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Not at all.
100%.
I mean, London. Woo.
Could have used the DSP, probably, maybe a house hunting trip.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's 22, right? So they're looking at her like, she's 22. We don't care. Here's some money. Figure it out. Google it. Which is why Lynn. I mean, I don't know if you know Lynn, but I mean, that's why Lynn, I think, created the Pivot app, because I mean, you're just thrown to the wolves and saying, and then so I mean, Pivot is just here's a quick little plug. But,
it's cool.
It's cool, and then you kind of crowdsource the information over there, and you're like, "Hey, what did you guys do? What'd you do? Oh, you didn't live in Notting Hill? Oh, it's a fortune? Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
That's
so funny. Let's see. Here's a question here from, let's see here, a LinkedIn user. They don't always populate, but the question is, it's from Anthony Houghton. Have you had any feedback from clients that have made use of momentum data at all?
Yeah, and I think one of the coolest things about it is companies that have come back to us and said, "Hey, I was able to get a seat at the table with senior leadership, and I was able to get this new policy design or these policy enhancements approved because they said the only thing that would really speak to my senior leaders was data, and data that includes dollar signs speaks that much louder." So
tell us, for those of us who don't know, what is momentum data?
So momentum is our productivity study series.
Got it.
And boy, we won't even get into that. That's a whole nother conversation. But the amount of time it took for us to get to that name, momentum, and I'll be honest, I didn't love it. And I was like leading the study and I didn't love momentum. And now it's like, what a perfect name for that whole series. So that was, we named the series the Momentum Series. But they're individual productivity studies. And this is probably one of the coolest things that we did is we built a calculator that a company can use. So a company can go in and say, I'm moving 300 of this employee profile. I'm moving 300 of this employee who makes 100K US base a year. But let's not forget that now you're also paying a 30% benefit load. And you're paying, is there an ROI on that particular profile, that employee's position? Are they in sales? Are they expected to contribute to the bottom line? What's the overhead you're paying for that employee? So in other words, what does that employee cost your company per day? And based on our study, if that employee is losing 26 days throughout the relocation process and you're moving 300 of that employee a year, that's costing your company $10 million in lost productivity.
Wow. That's a big number, and that would definitely get some attention. I want to ask the folks who are watching right now. We got 52 people on LinkedIn. We got another 12 on Facebook. You are probably my most popular guest this week, Mary Beth. Way to crush it on a Friday.
Nice.
Either our whole industry doesn't work on Fridays, or you are very popular. Okay.
I hope it's the latter.
I think both are in play. They're both possibilities. Okay. Yeah. But I wanted to ask, Mary Beth brings up a great point. I wanted to ask, what data and research are companies doing now or using now that is unique? Please go ahead if you're watching this right now and you've seen something really cool out there. I'm always looking for new ideas. Show me something that's been impressive. Maybe your company's doing something that's impressive. Drop it in there right now. A whole bunch of people are clapping right now for that idea. So go ahead and leave it down there. I want to hear about really cool studies, articles, thought pieces, white papers, even though I dog white papers all the time on the show. But I want to hear about it.
I dog the term best practice all the time.
Do you? Okay.
I do.
Well, I want to talk about best practices. Just kidding. I want to talk about mediocre practices. So right now, everybody's talking about what's next, right? And the next normal, and coming out of COVID, and what are we going to be doing? What are we seeing?
Yeah.
What is happening now? Like now in it. Here we are. It's June 5th. Everybody I talk to is saying to me, Ben, is it picking up? Does it feel like June yet? Whatever. Like, what's happening now?
Yeah, I think it's starting to pick up. The crazy thing about this is it just kind of hit, and so there were a whole lot of people that were already in process, that were already either getting ready to start the relocation process or they were in the middle of it. And I think it's another interesting aspect of that's coming out of the pandemic is a lot of those people, while they're obviously very worried about COVID-19, they're also still very motivated, I think, to make that move. Understanding, of course, there's added anxiety and there's added hesitancy, but at the same time, you kind of have to balance that with how many of these employees are thinking, if I don't move, I don't have that job, right? Which, for better or for worse, that's a reality.
That's a reality, and especially when you look at unemployment rates where they are now. If somebody's got an opportunity,
right,
you take that.
Right, they're going to take that. So I think a lot of, and again, and this goes back to the duty of care. It all kind of ties together. That you've got a lot of employees that are very anxious right now, but they're still very motivated. They want to make that move. They want to see that move happen. And so I think companies have to do everything that they can to make that happen for that employee. So at least from our perspective, I don't think we see a lot of employees that are saying, nope, I'm out. I'm not going to, I don't want to go through with move. I'm going to kind of stay where I am. I don't think we're seeing that at all.
So maybe the employees aren't driving that decisions, but do you see corporations driving that decisions either through concern over losses that they sustained in Q2, the viability of their Q3 business? Are you seeing austerity measures? Are you seeing, like, what are you seeing right now from the corporate side?
It is all dependent on industry. Mm-hmm. From what I'm seeing, certain industries obviously I think are hit. Retail has been hit pretty hard. Obviously
crushed,
right? So there's probably going to be some changes there. I think pharma, medical research, all doing incredibly well. I think technology, not. I think some of them have slowed down moving people, but they're not slowing down hiring.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Google, and was it Microsoft, or it was another huge player in the tech space, basically saying, you're going to work from home for the rest of the year. So, I mean, whether, like, to your point, they might be launching new products and doing stuff all the time, but are they relocating people? Because, if everybody's remote. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, so this is, of course, just my perspective. And just knowing the companies that I work with on a regular basis, they are very, very strong in their cultures. And the culture really drives everything that organization does. And I think you see that more in the tech space, personally. One, they're all competing with each other for talent. And there's not a lot, the culture of the organization has to be a differentiator. Mm-hmm. For when they're attracting that talent. And I just know from my experience, they are pretty keen on having employees be immersed in that culture. So while, yes, I think some are going to move and have some of their employees remote, at least for new hires, I have a feeling that that's not going to be the reality, because they're not going to be able to acculturate those people if they're not moving them to be part of that campus or that organization and really become immersed in that. And I've even heard of some companies that even if they're not bringing those employees onto or into the headquarters office right now, they are at least moving them into the area and maybe having them work from home in the interim.
Yep. Yeah, that was a great story that Nitz told from Six Walls about how he founded the company, and he was in Boston and he was working for, I think, Cisco, and they were in the Bay Area, and he decided he couldn't move with his family out to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Due to the cost of living and everything, but he quickly realized that his colleagues were getting so many more opportunities because of the FaceTime that they were getting and the ability to form those networks that are so important in your career, being present. And he realized that, basically that was the end of him at Cisco. And then, of course, he went on to found Six Walls, which helps people understand where in the heck they can live when there's a huge cost of living change. So
that's my husband works for Cisco, so nice little shout out there.
Yeah, there you go. But I think you're right, and I think I'm actually hopeful that becomes the norm. I look at my cousin's company. He's a senior vice president of a bank, and they're doing week on, week off. And that's that's a COVID measure, but does some of that stick? You know? And so if you're doing week on, week off, or you're doing 2 days in or 3 days in a week, but you're still living in the metro, but you don't necessarily also have to live as close to work. So
Right.
now you can have a longer commute, and that actually opens up a lot more housing opportunities, a
Yep.
lot more affordability.
Yeah.
So I mean, I see some of that too, potentially helping mobility
I
and
agree.
loosening some of it up. What
I
I mean,
agree.
thoughts on
Yeah.
that?
I hope that what comes out of this is just a lot more flexibility and a lot more focus on how employees are productive. And how can you foster an environment and an atmosphere where and just like we were talking, before we got on, we were talking about kids and how all kids learn differently and people are the same and employees are the same. Some employees are more productive in one space and some employees are more productive in another. And you have to kind of open up and be flexible and find ways to put those employees in the environments where they're going to be most productive. And sometimes that's at home and sometimes it's at the office.
I love it. We got some questions coming in as well for you. Let's see here. Here's a comment from someone that says, "Oh gosh, I'm always trying to find out who it was to actually give you some context." But it says she's right. They send over authorizations for lump sums early, but don't want the RMC to charge for a file setup, and then they want you to pay out 60 days before start date. Employee starts calling immediately and says they can't wait. They need to move now. Is this Does this happen?
Oh, it happens. Absolutely. Yeah. And then the consultant is kind of, okay, well, hold on, because we don't have your authorization yet from your company. So I need to check. And, it kind of puts everybody in a difficult position because, at least I know from our perspective, we're hiring consultants that want to help. They don't want to get on the phone and say, nope, I can't help you.
Yeah, it's got to be hard because I feel like back in the day, right? I'm not that old, but I mean back in the day when everybody had kind of like, here's your policy, right? And you got a full move and you got a home sale and and here it is. We do it all and whatever. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it was kind of our motto. We're here to make sure you don't have anything to worry about and there's no taxes to pay at the end of the day. Okay, that's our job.
Right.
And then companies start going in and they start, well, let's do a little core flex, let's do a little cafeteria plan, let's do a little cap move.
Let's do a managed budget.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, now there's all this complexity. There's like 40 different policies you're managing, right? How does your consultant even keep it all straight, frankly, I mean, within an organization and then across a portfolio of organizations, I can't imagine what the relocation consultant has to manage.
Yeah. Well, and I think most companies, if they're going to have consultants that are sort of segregated by the type of policies that they're administering. So, you're going to have some consultants that are on those traditional, I remember being a consultant, 20 some years ago and working on FBI and DEA files. And I had a script that I had to read when I was doing that initiation call because you couldn't say anything off script. Mm-hmm. It was kind of crazy. But, I think, every company, you have your consultants that are working on those real structured policies, and then you have your consultants that are, just like I was saying, there are different types of consultants, and you have your consultants that are working on those programs that are more flexible like that, and it's a totally different mindset. And what I think it would be great to do a lot of, cross training in that regard. Take someone who's on one of those very structured programs and let them shadow or mirror the person that's working on that more flexible program so they can sort of learn both and be more flexible.
And I think this comment is actually from my friend Victoria McCullough, who's actually in Dallas, who's actually a relocation consultant who worked for one of the largest RMCs and was on site for like 15 years. And here's something not a lot of people know. She's available. So go get her. Go get her. She's worth it. Love you, Victoria. So here's another question for you. Here's a lump sum question. In cash out models, what percentage of employees choose to cash out? And that's also from Nitzen.
I think it's a little bit of a two-part question because some of the cash out models that I see are where it's not where you can cash out the whole package. It's where you can cash out individual elements of the package. And so in that regard, I think it's probably close to a 50-50. I mean, it's so much driven by what's your personal situation. Again, you're single, you're not going to really need the household goods move, so you're going to cash it out, or you have a family, you have a house, you have a lot of stuff, you've moved before, maybe that you're going to need the support, so you're not going to cash out. When we talk about, giving the employee maybe a choice, some companies will do this, they'll say you can take a lump sum or you can take the managed benefits. I think you start at the beginning, you see a percentage of employees taking the cash out. And then I think a company will often see that shift once they get enough not so great experiences that more, and as the employees become more mature, their employee base evolves, they learn and they start taking the managed services. I've seen companies ditch the lump sum at one point because they're like, no one's taking it anymore.
Well, and it's frustrating because the pendulum swings, right? Companies start off with no program at all.
Yeah.
Then they give lump sums, and then they go to manage because it's a bad experience. And then they go to austerity mode, and they go to caps or whatever, or lump sums and cash outs and everything. And they're like, oh, crap, that sucked. And let's go back this way again. And it's kind of like, I wish we would just remember how bad it was and not keep doing this, hokey pokey, put your left foot in, take your left foot out kind of approach.
It's kind of like why people have more than one kid, though, right?
Yeah, because you forget how bad it was.
You don't remember how bad it was at the very beginning.
Oh gosh, that's great. That is so fantastic. I love that.
That's what I found. Yep.
It's so
Eventually
funny.
you learn.
Yeah, that's right. I just make my wife write stuff down when she's in labor. I'm like, no, just journal this for me if you don't mind. Molly Feldman, with COVID, there's a duty of care in everything you do.
Absolutely, 100%.
Gary Connolly goes on to say, not only is the EE on the clock when moving themselves, but the employer could be at risk in terms of liabilities. I would love, if anybody's watching this and you have a legal decision or a legal precedent where companies have been held responsible for activities that an employee, if employees hurt themselves or any kind of liability while the employee was in the relocation process, I would love to see a legal decision on this, because I think we understand logically that the company is at risk or open to liability, but I would love to see a legal decision on this that we could point to and say, look at this. Are you aware of anything like that? Because I'm not yet.
The closest the closest thing I can talk about is companies that we have that maybe say, I'm always going to counsel a company to give choices. So with household goods move, you're going to offer the van line, but offer the self-move option with some support, but make sure that's a choice so that if the employee chooses one or the other, it's not like the company made them do that. But I have seen companies put liability waivers in place that say if you choose this self-move option, the company is not responsible for X, Y, and Z, which, I'm sure there's just as many people that would disagree with that. Again, from that duty of care standpoint, that,
well,
is that really the right thing to do?
Yeah,
and if you don't want them taking that option, why are you offering it anyway? So, but I totally agree. The liabilities, there's a lot more risk.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there's so many good questions and comments. Here's one. I think here's one that we really want to know the answer to. MB, are you going to sing for us? I hear she's a little bit country, she's a little bit rock and roll. Can we just get a little bit of?
No, because I haven't had any wine yet.
That sounds like a you problem, girl. Don't make your problem my problem, okay?
I'm a little bit country. There you go.
All right. One line. It's better than most. All right. Thank you so much.
Stay on. I'll sing at the end. That way we can keep everybody on the.
All right.
Online.
That is the subscription model, by the way. If you are a subscriber of Love and Relo, you get to see that.
Yep. But wait, there's more.
Yes, but wait, there's more behind the scenes bloopers reel. Here we go. A clarification from Nitz and Pay. That is actually Google's idea. It was our first client 6 years ago and is used all over the world by 50 plus corporates as an alternative to sending money to new hires or assignees before they start, instead of an allowance that might not be repaid as a repayable cash advance with zero interest. First of all, it gets the employees instantly. Repayable cash advance. Cash advance with zero interest. I always find that interesting. I need some cash advances with zero interest. Nitzen, for contact.
Do you have to? Yeah. Do you have to be relocating to get?
Yeah. How about if I stand over here? Can I get it now? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Can I get it now? Oh gosh, shoot, that's so funny.
Will you sing for cannoli?
Yeah, maybe. It's because the pubs are shut. Yes, that is why we don't get the crazy COVID comments from the UK.
Yeah.
Marcy Lane, Andy Houghton, GMS, LOL. They're having
write
fun.
a momentum song. Okay, speaking of that, I will say at my very first Canadian ERC, the networking, like everybody have fun and drink a lot and get to know each other, was they broke us up into teams and we had to write songs. And so we had to pick a tune of a popular song, but make the lyrics about relocation. And my team won.
And did you sing it?
I did.
Oh gosh.
It was Sweet Home Relocation instead of Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, come on now.
I don't remember the lyrics. I just remember it was Sweet Home Relocation. I can't wear the skies. We're rolling home to you. I can't. It was good. It was good. We even had dance moves and everything.
Oh my gosh. Which event was this at?
It was Canadian ERC, but this was like maybe 2012, 2013.
Erica Burton, what's up? Love Erica.
She's awesome.
Isn't she?
She's a firecracker.
Oh, let's see.
Man, you cannot be around that woman and not laugh.
Oh my gosh, I know. She had me dancing at my first Great Lakes. I was dancing with her at the piano bar. Anyway, it was great. Let's see. Okay, here's a good question. I think this is actually from our friend Jason Miller. Yeah, he's from Jason. MB, are you hearing any of your corporate folks worrying about the potential staggering of school schedules? How will this affect relocation when you don't know if your kid will be 1 week on, 1 week off? Or 1 day here, 1 day there? This is going to really mess up work travel for sure. This is Jason Miller, in case my name doesn't show up. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of conversations around that with our clients. I'm guessing if they're like me, they're just crossing their fingers that things go back to normal in the fall. And maybe also like me, I'm kind of I'll jump off that bridge when I get to it. Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. Yeah. But it's certainly something I've thought about.
I think it could be good in that it could allow the peak relocation season to go later into September, October. Yeah. Without that hard stop of like Labor Day or late August, depending on where in the country you are. So I'm hopeful that maybe it allow people to kind of sort their life out and relocate later, because if their kids are attending school virtually and they're 3 weeks behind, moving there, they can still enroll them and say, or something like that.
Right. But nice. I mean, I know a lot of the school systems around us are still, the jury's still out on what that's going to look like when kids go back.
Yeah, this is great. They're calling for wine, wine and cannolis. They're bribing us with all our weaknesses here. Oh gosh, it's always worth the wait.
So anybody that was at SRRC 2 years ago, that's when I belted it out. I pulled out my Kelly Clarkson.
Lovely. Let me ask you this: if you were to write a book, what would you write about?
So. I always had, I have two answers for this. So I always had an idea that I would, and I wouldn't write the whole thing, so it makes it a whole lot easier, right? That I would do a chicken soup for the soul kind of book, but it would be called The Pregnant Burro, Stories from the World of International Relocation.
Wait. Run that back. It'd be the what? The Pregnant Bro?
The Pregnant Burro. Because when I
feel like that's my profile. Okay.
Back in the mid 90s, when I worked on site at Coca-Cola in Atlanta, we had an expat that was getting ready to repatriate, and he had been in Portugal, and he'd bought himself a burro, and the burro was pregnant, and he wanted to move that thing back. Burro.
I'm thinking you're saying bro, like pregnant bro. Hey, you pregnant, bro? Okay.
Like Joe Burrow.
But you keep saying it, but you kind of the U is very clipped. It's very like an apostrophe. Okay, the burro.
That's my southern thing coming out. Yes.
Burro. Okay, so he has a pregnant donkey. Basically, pregnant donkey.
Yeah.
And he wants to move from Portugal.
He wanted to repatriate from Portugal with his pregnant burro.
Thank you, so much.
So that was gonna be the title of the book, and I was gonna go out to all my contacts and say, send in your craziest stories, because they're there. That's what we do when we, we're all at ERC or another conference, and we're talking about one time I had a transferee that did X. So that was my initial, I thought I might do that someday.
That's great. somebody that actually speaks Portuguese. Vinny Valverde. Hi, Mary Beth and Ben. Sorry to miss it, but I'm doing some concrete work in the backyard. I will watch the recording later. Have a great weekend.
So send some pictures, Vinny. I'd like to see that concrete work.
Vinny is like hardcore contractor out there. Janet says, I remember
you now singing at SRRC.
Yep. And TRC and Andrea Walker.
And we won all of the music trivia. Well, yeah, because, let me do music trivia or sports trivia.
Gosh, I need to go to some of these regionals. TRC, SRRC. I've never been to either one. I got to get out more.
Oh, they're both amazing. TRCs, they're awesome. Just awesome. I love the regionals. Because those are people, they get together frequently, and it's like a family. Yeah. And it's just... It's fantastic, and you get with those groups, and you can feel the energy, and it's awesome. That's probably one of the best parts of my job, is getting to go and speak at those regional conferences and sing.
It is, and we haven't. What was the last meeting you went to like that?
It was NERA, so Northeast in Boston, and that was the first week in March. And there was a no handshaking rule. We all had to we were bumping elbows.
Oh, you guys were bumping elbows in early March.
But I co-presented with John Scully, and I've known John for so long, and he worked with us on our very first momentum study. And after we got done, I hugged him, and then I was like, well, I'm going to get kicked out. They're never going to invite me back now.
Yeah. I remember mine was in Chicago. It was at a North American Van Alliance conference, and then while we were there, they canceled the Final Four. They canceled the NBAC. And it's just like, you wake up every morning, like you get the weirdest headlines, and you're like, what is going on? It scared the hell out of me. I'll tell you what. We got a few minutes left here, Mary Beth. Is there anything that you want to say, or any question you want to ask me or the audience, or anything else?
So, I think I probably know the answer, Ben. But what's your favorite part of this industry? What just kind of makes you just smile when you think about our industry?
The love is definitely number one, but the booze is a close second. I think the love. I mean, it's crazy the friendships that you make, and it's funny because people say this industry is particularly like that, and I wonder if other people in other industries have that same type of camaraderie. I don't know. I've not really done this in other industries, but. All these people that are commenting, I got stories about, half of them are my friends, half of them are your friends, but we have these stories where we just you could laugh, you could just go on forever,
Oh yeah. It's the people. So, a couple weeks ago was the virtual ERC, America's Mobility Conference. Yep. And that Wednesday morning, I came down to my husband's office and I said, so I'm technically at ERC right now, so I won't be home till 3:00 in the morning and I'll be drunk. And
off this webinar right now.
He just kind of looked at me like, psh, whatever. But I'm like, I need to feel like I'm there. So but this is actually a really practical question, because I think we're in that make or break period right now. This month of June, I believe, is going to be make or break period for a lot of the October conferences. I agree.
What could, if they didn't go in real life and they did a virtual conference, how do we replicate that thing that you just described?
Oh, I don't know. Virtual happy hours, wow.
I mean, virtual happy hours. I mean, that.
But you can only have, you can't see everybody. It's
But I mean, you can all talk at the same time.
Yeah. Even when I go to ERC, I leave and I'm like, you were there? I didn't see you. Just there's so many people.
You almost have to be able to go in private rooms and have like small group conversation. Because imagine a bar, right? And you walk in and there's there's Mary Beth and Jason Miller and a few people. Let me just shoulder up over here, oh, these people over here, let me go over here now and talk to these, and it's a big group of small groups. And
maybe that's it. Yeah,
that online,
maybe we have little
it's like chat rooms like back in the day. Chat rooms.
My son, one of my boys is going to camp next week, and they have they're calling them family groups. So they're whoever's in their cabin, I'm trying to think of the other word that they're using, but they're calling them family groups, and those are the people that you can hang out with. So maybe that's what we would end up doing, is we would have those family groups, but then at least you could see some people, right?
Yeah.
Love and booze.
Next show. What are you talking about, Tim? Next show. Shoot, man.
There just wasn't enough room on the marquee for love and relo and booze.
Yeah, I was looking for symmetry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like relo and booze were synonymous. I hit Shift F7 on my Word, and that's what came up. You got people already signing up for that. I think, yeah, let's see.
Pods.
Yeah, well,
That's how we would have the next pods.
inside
There
the
you
containers.
go. Oh, that's Allison. Her daughter's going to the same camp. That's why she's saying that. Pods.
Okay. I thought we were like going to actually like go stand in
Sit
these,
in a
like,
pod.
3-person max containers, and I've stood in those. They're hot. This has been wonderful. I wanted to give you the last word, Mary Beth. What do you want to leave folks with?
Can I leave everybody with a war eagle?
Do you go?
And a fingers crossed that we have a football season in the fall.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. I'm depressed when it's not sports season. You know what? I think I would leave everybody with keep being the great industry that you are. And I'm not going to get emotional, but I'm pretty blessed to be part of this community.
It's a blessing to get to know you, and it's a blessing to know you and all the other folks that checked in today. So thank you so much, Mary Beth, for coming here today and sharing your story and your insights and your perspective and your research. And thanks for everybody that chimed in in the comments.
Thank you.
The comments were off the chain. Love is Blind, next edition, Relo is Blind. We're just doing blind relo.
So Allison is on my team, so I have an awesome job.
Yeah.
She's hilarious.
Seriously. Oh, this has been great. Hey, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Have a great weekend.
Thank you,
love
everyone.
you guys, and we'll see you next week here on Love and Relo. Take care, everybody.